should read topic number one is, let's talk about Project 2025. This came, of course, with a link. Let me share my screen with you guys. This takes us to Instagram, to the reel. So I'll play it. I'm not sure how long it is. I'll play it a time or two, just so we could make sure we get the gist of it, and then we'll discuss it. Shout out to Trigger Happy 262 Plus in the chat. Shout out to the Forecast Radio, who's out there saying what's up to you, Forecast. Make sure you guys are subscribed to his channel as well. All right, so let's watch this video, and then we'll discuss it.
Heard about Project 2025? Stop what you're doing and watch this. Project 2025 is a plan for Trump's second term that would transform America into a far-right Christian nationalist militarized state. You can read the nearly 1,000-page plan for yourself at project2025.org so you can know I am not exaggerating. 3 key facts. Number 1. A mass firing purge that Trump authorized before the 2020 election but never got to act on is at the center of Project 2025. Now, more than 2 million Americans across the country are part of the federal civilian workforce. Scientists at scientific agencies, doctors at the FDA, accountants at the IRS. We want experts doing jobs that require expertise. But more than 50,000 of them would be fired under this plan and replaced with MAGA loyalists who would use the power of these agencies to fundamentally change the nature of America without needing to involve Congress. Number 2, Project 2025 is a far-right Christian nationalist agenda. By page 5, they're already proclaiming pornography should be outlawed, the people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned, educators and public librarians who purvey it should be classed as registered sex offenders. This would be alarming enough if they were talking about actual pornography. But their definition spans anything that acknowledges the existence of LGBTQ people. They claim on page 451 that families comprised of a married mother, father, and their children are the foundation of a well-ordered nation and healthy society, thereby designating queer people, single parents, unmarried co-parents, and people who get abortions as inherently inferior and a threat to the state. On page 584, they call for the Department of Labor to explicitly give companies permission to discriminate against LGBTQ Americans. On page 450, they also declare that life begins at conception, and abortion is, quote, not healthcare. Accordingly, the FDA would ban abortion medications, as detailed on page 458. The administration would also seek to strip abortion services and contraception from health plans. See pages 483 and 585. Number 3, Project 2025 envisions a militarized police state where law enforcement is answerable only to the president. Maybe you live in a blue city or state and you think, I don't have to worry about my librarians being imprisoned. Guess again. Page 553 lays out how Trump's Justice Department will take over local law enforcement if they don't like how your own elected officials are running things. And they will prosecute district attorneys that they don't agree with. The plan also strips the FBI director of their independence, making them a lackey of the president. See page 549. And on page 104, the plan reduces the number of military generals, so power is more fully consolidated in the commander-in-chief. A central focus of the new police state would be Trump's goal of undertaking
the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
Immigration enforcement is to be conducted like a war, with the military deployed within the U.S., and millions of immigrants rounded up and thrown into newly constructed mass holding camps. A powerful new border security and immigration agency would replace the Department of Homeland Security. See page 133. This would also mean the DHS's efforts to combat far-right domestic terrorists would stop altogether. One plan that is not in the public document, but that members of the Project 2025 team reportedly disclosed to the Washington Post, is to invoke the Insurrection Act to have the military suppress public protests against Trump. I'm just scratching the surface. The plan is loaded with actions ranging from changing labor rules to effectively end overtime pay, that's on page 592, to slaughtering wild horses, that's on page 528. You can do your own deep dive on their website, project2025.org. I'm Alan Piper at apiper13. Follow Courier Newsroom for all of the information you need about the stakes of the 2024 elections.
Interesting. Nice summary of Project 2025, which they've renamed, I heard. I can't remember what they're calling it now, but I think they've renamed it since it got so much attention in recent weeks. Definitely a lot of things that affect Africans in America. Definitely, I think the thing to consider when voting this upcoming election. I know Bakari had a great conversation last night on his channel. You guys should tune into that if you haven't. I got there late, but I think I heard maybe half of it. Real good discussion. And I think Bakari might be absolutely correct. The bottom line is Trump is a white guy who has, he's a white man for sure. And he has definite anti-black policies in mind. So we should be very careful of Trump, even though, Kamala might be cosplaying at times. We should definitely be careful of Trump. With that said, let me hear from Black Steel. Black Steel, what say you to this Project 2025?
So it's funny, they kind of Project 2025 has been around for a while. I remember having, talking about this, on this program a while back. But it goes back, I think, almost to, I would say, back during Trump's presidency. But I just want to say that, first of all, I'm not, we understand the danger that such a program would pose to Americans of the United States. So I understand that. The only thing I would say is that for African people, we've been under Project 1619. We've been under Project, 1877 forever. Many of these plans and policies that are in place have already been enacted. For example, this is a little known stat, but 98% of police officers who kill somebody escape prosecution. So Trump wants to just get rid of them last 2% of people who do get charged, right? So it's very rare for a police officer to kill somebody in the line of duty to get charged, which is what Project 2025 is calling for, immunity for police officers. Another thing he mentioned about abortion being made illegal. Well, now that Roe versus Wade has been repealed, it's up to the states to make abortion illegal. So many states have made abortion illegal up to, I believe it's six weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks, which is usually before a lot of women even know they're pregnant. So we're starting to see these things have already been enacted. Many states, like for example Texas, they pull money from the public schools and put them in private vouchers to ensure that the private schools are a better quality than the public schools, which really reduces the number of people who are educated. Republicans usually tend to prefer people to be less educated because that means less people coming out to vote. So it looks like many of the things and policies and things in place for Project 2025 are already in effect. So I really wonder why they're bringing it up so much now. You have people like Taraji P. Henson mentioning Project 2025 at the BET Awards. Why is she mentioning it now? To be fair, what I think it is the Democrats understand that this is their election to lose. What they do, they rarely mention their policies or what they have planned. What they're really saying is, hey, don't vote for Trump. Be scared of Trump. Vote for us. If you don't vote for us, you'll get Trump, right? But there's no real examination of what they're offering to the society, to the people. What is it that you are? What are we gonna get for giving you your vote? And the response is, well, we're not Trump. Okay. And I think that usually works for most people. I am not most people. But I do believe that the fear of Trump coming back and enacting these policies that are already really, many of them are in effect right now. Because the idea is what they call it the unitary executive theory, which is something that says that the president of the United States possesses the power to control the entire federal executive branch. Now, those of you who don't know, the American government system is built, has checks and balances built into it. In theory, I say. So that way one branch of government doesn't get too powerful. So Congress can pass a law, but the president doesn't sign it, he can veto it, right? That's a check on the legislative branch. The president can rule for something, but if he has 2/3 of majority in the House or the Senate, they can override the president's veto, which is supposed to play off each other, so that one branch doesn't get more powerful. But what Project 2025 is saying, that the president has complete control over the executive branch, almost like a king, which is in opposition to what these original founding pedophiles and rapists originally planned for, right? Because they came from a monarchical system where a king had absolute power. They didn't want to reproduce that. So I'll go ahead and try to land this plane. Of course, we don't want Trump president. But then again, I just question what is it that the Democrats are giving us other than not Trump. I think that too many times we confine our political engagement to just voting every 4 years and don't do the work and the organize in between that time. We have to become more politically astute instead of just voting for president. We look at voting almost like two competing football teams. I want the Tampa Bay Bucks to beat the Atlanta Falcons. We're not looking at the policies and the platforms and what these two differing political people, these parties bring to us, and then how they differ, but then also how do they align? And what do they all agree on? One thing they all agree on is foreign wars, because both parties support the genocide in Palestine, the genocide in the Congo, and in Haiti. That's one thing they both agree on. So whether you get Trump 2025 or Harris 2025, you're going to continue to have the onslaught on the global South and the Middle East and across the world. So I think that when you're looking at which political party you're voting for, you should probably look at which party would be best to organize and resist. Who would be the easiest person for you to fight against? Because we have to understand this political system is no friend to African people, whether here in America or abroad. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Thanks for that thorough analysis on your part. Let's hear from Oni next. Oni, what say you?
I might have to say that I kind of agree with Black Steel, which is anyway. But
Don't do me like that.
but what I would say is yeah, the Democrats do this before Trump even dreamed about elections. Okay, well, maybe not exactly before, but for a long time, I remember somebody called it a Mutt and Jeff routine. Now, I don't know what a Mutt and Jeff routine is. I think it's a reference to some television show from the 70s or something. But the idea is that they always do the good cop, bad cop. Trump plays into it. I don't know why. Maybe because he's an entertainer or something. I don't know. But the Democrats have always done good cop, bad cop, and I mean, obviously, the reality is this: Black people are going to vote for the Democrats regardless. At a 90% rate. We have been doing it. We will be doing it. I've sat in the election, in the polling stations, and I've seen, people says, most people who have any sort of political party are going to vote down the line, and they're pretty much unofficially instructed to vote down the line. So, for me, it's like, it's almost a moot point. We're going to vote for Kamala Harris. Has Kamala Harris shown a lot of competence this last 4 years? No, I actually haven't. I mean, I wasn't really following the news recently, but I haven't even noticed Kamala Harris up until or Biden stepped down. I didn't even know she was still there, honestly. But I mean, people are saying she might have been doing. No, actually, nobody's saying she did anything, except for Trump. Trump is the only one saying that she's done something, and he said it's something negative. But the reality is that, yeah, like we always have the scare tactic. We had Trump before. I'm not really a fan of Trump, and obviously, like I said, I'm probably not going to be in the country at the time of the election, but my state is going Kamala. You know, New York is going Kamala. Whether I vote or not, New York, like she's going to get my electoral, what have you. But the reality is that both parties are beholden to old money. Okay, both parties are beholden to old money, and all the all the nonsense going on right now. Like for instance, 4,000 Marines were just deployed into the Middle East for what reason we know, right? All of that's happening while Biden is president right now. So it's like I'm not saying that Trump can't be worse because it's pretty likely that he would be worse. What I'm saying is like this is a really awful country, a really awful two-party system, and these white folks sitting around, oh my gosh, this person's worse. Yeah, but you don't. It's not like you really care. It's like these white people. We have to understand this. These white people are quarreling. They're arguing with each other over the reins of power. Okay, they're really seriously trying to hold on to the power structure in America. And what are they going to do with the power structure in America? Screw over what they call black and brown people across the planet. That's all they're doing. So it's like I'm not trying to be involved. I'm not trying to be political. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to pretend to care. I'm not trying to put emotions in this. I've done that 4 years ago, and they always want some emotional investment. Um, that's all they want. They want us to feel scared, feel pressured to vote, and then they do what they're doing today, which is 4,000 Marines. And this was today. This was earlier today. 4,000 Marines going over to the Middle East to start wars with a bunch of people who really ain't never done nothing to us. But or even like right now, what they're doing with Venezuela, which again, where's Venezuela? I mean, I just saw it recently. It's a huge country in South America, and because the guy's sitting on a large world reserve of oil, Biden and them are trying to say he didn't get elected, like he stole the election, and they're trying to probably send troops over there. If that's the kind of shit that I have to say, oh yeah, I don't like, I'm afraid of Trump. Like, what are you talking about? You're invading other countries because their election results aren't what you want, and you're the freaking party talking about democracy. Come on. But I mean, yeah, for me, it's like I'm not really a fan of. I mean, like I said, if push comes to shove, I'd go Kamala, obviously. But the reality is that there's no sense for me to be enthused about it.
Yeah, I appreciate that last sentiment, especially about being enthused about it. With that said, by the way, shout out to KW Don 7 out there in the chat. Shout out to Jose Bronze out there in the chat. I think I shouted out Trigger Happy earlier. Earlier, Brother Bakari in the chat said peace and black power to everyone. So with that said, let's welcome in Brother Bakari to the panel. Brother Bakari, how are you this week?
I'm great, man. I'm great. How about you?
Good.
And how about everybody else? Yeah. I hear people. I just heard the two things that was said. You don't have to be enthused about voting for anyone, but to accuse of Democrats of trying to scare people to vote this time, and I'm not Democrat, no Republican, I'm black. That's utter nonsense. That means people who saying the Democrats are trying to scare you just absolutely is not listening. It was not even the Democrats who brought up Project 2025. First of all, that was who spread Project 2025 was actually the Magapotamians, the Trumpeteers, Donald Trump and the conservatives is the one who brought it up. And the ones who's trying to scare you into not voting is the people that's promoting Project 2025. That's why the leader of the Heritage Fund said, if Donald Trump loses, there will be a civil war. That's why that senator from North Carolina can say it will be bloodshed if Donald Trump lose. That's why the governor of West Virginia said if Donald Trump lose, they're going to be completely unhinged. Now, I don't give a damn about me, honestly. I know they're going to probably eventually attack, but I don't care about the people in the Middle East and don't give a damn about the people over there, Palestine. I'm black. So I read about black business. So when we go to talking about what's going on over there in West Day and what we know somebody is going to do in the future. Well, we do know Donald Trump was president before, and we do know the Sahel. Donald Trump did bomb the Sahel over in Africa. Now the Sahel states. So when we talk about what somebody is going to do, we don't know. And we say when they don't mention you. Well, Kamala Harris's first speech, the first thing she said, the first thing she spoke about was how bad black women is treated in the hospitals, and how black women lose babies at an alarming rate in the hospitals, and that is something that we're going to work about, and that's one of the things that she's going to change, that she want to work toward change.
You went out, brother Bakari. I don't know if you can hear me. You went out a little bit. We can't hear you.
Yeah. In the meantime, because Bakari's not responding, in the meantime, but while Bakari fixes that, let me welcome in our brother, the Forecast Radio this week. Forecast, how are you?
What's going on, Coco? I think Bakari knew I was on here, so he ran real quick. But no, shouts out to Coco. I don't know who all on here, but I heard Black still. I know Buwana on here. Only shouts out to all of y'all. Shouts out to you, Coco, Bakari.
And Kofi.
Yeah. I'm just really coming on just to kick it with y'all tonight. I'm actually like kind of all like election stuff out. I know it's gonna get crazy the next few months. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's crazy because this time, like, I remember like how it was last time on YouTube. Like, but now everybody is political experts now. No matter, what I'm saying, what side you on. And I guess at this point, I'm scared of 2025. I ain't gonna be able to protest in peace. You know what I'm saying? So, but I agree with what Black Steel was saying earlier. Except for like what it was like Democrats election to lose. Like I think before when I think they were saying like they were going to lose. Like Oni was saying like I think they will win the black vote. It's just how many people is going to go out there and actually vote. You know what I'm saying? Like the state of New York, I don't know if they're going to win. Maybe the black vote in New York, but I don't know about the state of New York. You know what I'm saying? Like even dude Bowman just lost up there up north, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure if they're going to get that, because listen, like a lot of the older people who are saying, and I'm not saying it's an older or younger thing, but a lot of the people before who was like, we just got to vote Democrat no matter what, it is what it is. And like even what Bakari was saying, like, oh, it's not just it is, they had, like, I remember like 2010 they had Puff Daddy on commercials talking about vote or die, you know what I'm saying? And now you see where he at, you know what I'm saying? Like they've been doing this, so black people and I don't even think it's going to be the same numbers. It's like 90%, you know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be less, but it's more so about how many people is going to go out, period. And even what he was saying about the dictator, they already on some dictator stuff, but like it's just one side, like, okay, it's the Shyster is going to say something, or is it going to be, I guess y'all saying like Trump is going to be like whatever? But I agree with what he's saying, because you had like Project 1984 when they privatized prisons, and Project 1994 and Project 2020, and now I guess Project 2025, you know what I'm saying? And my question is, though, I don't understand why black people would be scared of, because I don't hear much like, should we want like the FBI and their army to be like weakened, and shouldn't we want their government to be weakened? Like we want them to fight. And all of it is just white nationalist arguments. It's just like both sides is like, we should run it this way, and the other side is like, we should run it this way. But it's all white nationalist arguments. And then I'm seeing more black people than I've seen in previous cycles on YouTube anyway are straight experts in the field, you know what I'm saying? So at that point, I'm like, I don't know, but I'll drop it right there.
I appreciate that, forecast. Bakari's back, but I'm going to hold off to go in Bakari right now. Let me get in the brother Kofi, and then we'll get Bakari to anchor the topic. Kofi, how are you this week?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you, Koku? How you been? How was the week off, man? Sometimes you need a week off.
Yeah, it was good actually. It was good. I was upstate. In fact, I was in New Jersey, so yeah, it was good. It was good.
Good,
Thanks for
good.
coming through. Good episode this week as well. By the way, you guys make sure to check out Kofi's last episode. Subscribe to his channel. Kofi, what are your thoughts on Project 2025?
My thoughts on Project 25 it's always been, for anyone that knows me, me and brother Bakari is pretty much blowing the same horn. And that horn to me, in my experience, for let's say for the past 2 weeks, has been falling on deaf ears. You know, you have someone saying, I'm going to shoot you in the face. And we have people saying, not really. Are you? You're saying you're going to do something, but you didn't do it the last. You know, it's a lot of dismissive behavior that I'm finding with, when you talk to, like, I guess the masses. You have people that are taking it seriously, then you have people that are not taking it seriously, and the people that are not taking it seriously, I'm finding that is pretty much a deniability here, or they're doing a irrational comparison, or they really don't know what is being at stake, what Project 2025 is saying, what Trump himself is saying, right? What his followers are saying. So they say, they're trying to say, oh, we're being hyperbolic about the situation, but I'm saying, no, this is what the man is saying. So for people who are saying, well, hey, look, Trump was a president before, this is a popular argument, Trump was president before, there was no Project 2025, and nothing happened. So why should we be scared now? And that's a very legitimate question, right? But it also shows that you have not been following politics for the past, during the Trump era. And you also have not been familiarizing yourself what Trump wants to do with Project 2025. So real quick, what Project 2025 is doing, right? If we're here as Black people, our people are here. We are citizens here, right? So we have to take heed to someone who is outright racist, someone who says that, hey, look, the people in Charlottesville, they're fine people. He doesn't want to degrade them. We saw how he was treating the Black women at the Black press conference over there. He's going to give cops immunity and all this shit. But again, it's falling on deaf ears. I'm saying that to say is that what Trump is going to, if we're going to be here and we're American citizens, we have someone's going to say, hey, look, so the past 4 years, he didn't do it because Trump is a fucking idiot, right? He was doing things and he didn't know how loyal people were. So Trump is the only president in history that fired pretty much half of his cabinet, at least half of his cabinet, right? Why? Because they wanted to commit criminality, right? Mike Pence, he wanted Mike Pence not to certify the votes, right? So what do he have him do? Oh, hang Mike Pence. And Trump had no problem with that. They didn't call that off. But that happens every day in America. Oh, but it doesn't. So again, why are people trying to relate this situation to any other time in history, right? Robert Mueller, he didn't like what Mueller was doing, right? So he got rid of Mueller. He hired Jeff Sessions. This is the Department of Justice, DOJ, right? Jeff Sessions recused himself, right? He didn't want Jeff Sessions to recuse himself because Jeff Sessions is problematic. He recused himself. You're fired. I'm going to get William Barr. He got William Barr. William Barr is like, yes, there's election fraud. There's this fraud. There's that fraud. It goes back, no, Trump, there's no fraud. I'm saying this to say, and there's other people that Trump was ahead of, that Trump had loyalists, but he didn't have dogmatic cultist loyalists. He had people like, look, I'll do the regular Republican bullshit, but I'm not gonna betray my oath. I'm not gonna use my bar license doing this bullshit for you. So Project 2025, he's gonna get loyalists. So now he knows what to do. If you know who Steve Bannon is, Steve Bannon was like what our brother Bakari said, was talking about Project 25. He went over in Europe talking about this is what we're going to do now. There's a thing called Project 2025. This was like back like in freaking like May or March. He was doing that. This is stuff that I'm following. So to make sense how things unfold, right? So he's going to replace. So there's no longer be, you know what? I'm just going to just put the head of the Department of Justice. No, I'm going to put a lawyer in the Department of Justice, and everybody that's in the Department of Justice, you're all fired. Just like the clip that you showed, Coco. All you got to go. And I'm only going to put in loyalists. That is different. That's undemocratic. That's not something that is normally do. You can put the head of departments, but you just can't say, no, everybody leave, and I'm vetting everybody who's loyal to me. That's undemocratic. So to pick up a little bit over what Bakari was saying, I'll let Bakari go after that, because he was talking about how she was talking about black women, about how black women are treated in hospitals and given birth. My wife was unfortunately with my son. When she had my son last, I experienced that. They think that black women have this high tolerance for pain, like we're fucking animals. And you say, give her, she's in pain, give her meds. My wife passed out from pain. I thought she was gonna die. I had to slap all the, this is not even white, it's white and Asian people. So it's not just white people doing this. It was a bunch of Asian women and Asian and white Asian, white people, it's Asians, women and white women that was doing that. And I had to scream at them. Roe v. Wade. You think there's no difference? Roe v. Wade has never been rolled back, right? And these conservatives are saying no matter what, like just like you show, no exceptions, no matter what. Trump says, well, I'm going to roll back Roe v. Wade. Why? Oh, because it's a conservative narrative. They think that's horrible. Life starts at conception, like the video that you said. So I'll give it back to the states. So you have states that still have rules from the freaking 30s or whatever where you can't get an abortion no matter what, no matter if it's incest, rape, or the life of the mother. Trump was on the black press thing that he went on there, and he said, well, I accept those 3 exceptions, but he's a fucking liar or he's an idiot, because if you give it back to the states, you have certain states that have those rules. That's why you had the 12-year-old girl that got raped. She couldn't get an abortion in that state, so they has to go to another state to get an abortion. Right, so all these things directly affect us or indirectly affect us. So I'll yield the mic and give it to Brother Bakari. Thank you.
All right, Bakari, and then Juan. Okay, Bakari.
Sorry, can y'all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. What I was saying, and Kofi touched on some of it when she talked about the money. When I was talking about the employment, and she was talking about how black people make 61 cents. Black people make 61 cents on the dollar compared to everyone else making 81 cents on the dollar, and something have to be done about that. But my thing is, I don't think people is following Project 2025. Most of us, we said on YouTube and say the popular thing, they're trying to scare you, and they just want you to vote Democrat, and they're trying to scare you. No, like I said, the ones they're trying to scare you is the ones that's doing voter intimidation, is the ones that's supporting Project 2025. So something that Kofi just said when he was talking about the things that in Project 2025, one thing that I didn't hear him say it if he did, so I apologize, but even the civil service workers, he's going to have the goal is to fire all of the civil service workers, and every civil service job would have to be Trump loyalists. So I wonder how many black people would be fired doing that. See, we can talk about Project 1619. We can talk about Project 1984. You can talk about any project you want to, but right now, this is the project we're in. And if we're willing to sit back and allow somebody who wouldn't even denounce the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, he refused to denounce David Duke. If we're willing to sit back.
You went out. You went out
Dang,
again, bro.
yo. Trump got a line on his phone. Trump got to put his butt on the mic.
When you saying stuff you ain't supposed to be saying, that's what happened to you.
Let's see if Bakari is there still.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes, yes. Now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had a phone call. I'm sorry about that. So anybody that's willing to sit back and let somebody become president who refused to denounce the KKK and he is okay with the people in Charlottesville, Virginia, though I don't want to hear none of those people talk about anything that has ever happened to black people in the past, because they're okay with somebody having the ultimate power to put those people in power over you now. They're okay with it because I can hold on to what we're supposed to say. They're just trying to make us vote Democrat. Instead of keeping up with what's going on, we say the popular thing. Just like the conversation last night, we say the popular thing, even when they talk about Kamala Harris' record. It's just been a bunch of lies all over YouTube. And this is not me caping for Kamala Harris. The fact is fact, and you can look this stuff up. She put all these black men in jail for non-violent marijuana offenses. Okay, which only 45 people went to jail out of 1,956 convictions, but first-time felons that had pled guilty, she had a program for them. And once they go through the program, their record was expunged. She only had a 10% repeat offenders rate. When they talked about the truancy, well, these people, and she was taking these black, because according to these people on social media, everything only happened to black people. She's taking parents to jail for truancy. Well, elementary age students that had missed 30 days or more, unexcused, and those people didn't go to jail. She created a program with them because she said they needed help. So instead of us looking and studying, we say the popular things. We say the stuff they're going to think we might make us sound right. I know everything that has happened, but it seems like there's a lot of black people who want somebody that's in charge that have that same mentality of the people that did the stuff back when you say 1619, or that did the stuff to Tulsa, Oklahoma, or that did the stuff in Rosewood and all over the United States. We will sit back and let that type of mentality be in charge because, and I will say this, I don't even think it has anything to do with white people, black. I think it has something to do with black people being contrarian toward other black people who's gonna vote Democrat. So I'm gonna be different and say, see, they just gonna vote Democrat. You have the right to vote how you vote. But if we don't look into the stuff that they're talking about, and if we don't look into them using Project 2025 as voter intimidation, it was not even the Democrats this time who used the fear tactic. It was Republicans that brought out Project 2025 and started. They are the ones who made it popular. That's when people picked up on it and started talking about it. How they say they want to get rid of, when he say you're going to give police full immunity for everything that they do, then he going to put a ban on protests. So when somebody tell me they going to put a ban on protests, and he's been the president before, and I can look back and see when white people was protesting in front of the White House, how he shot tear gas on them to make them move so he could cross the street. We don't think that these things will affect us because we're going to stand strong and just say it's the Democrats. It's deeper than that, and you just going to have to look into it if you want to look into it. But if you don't want to look into it, don't look into it. I'm not telling nobody what to do. But to me, I think it's crazy for people who's been absolutely oppressed, suppressed, depressed, compressed, full court press, any kind of pressure you can think of, to not even look into it and just to say the popular thing to say on social media. I hear the mic.
I appreciate that, brother Bakari. Again, you guys check out Bakari's last episode and Kofi's last episode too, where Bakari was on the panel. With all of that said, Bwani, you've heard everything everyone else had to say. You've seen the chat. What say you to all of it?
Sure. Okay, so let me first say this. I want to remind my African American brothers and African American adjacent brothers that I am not in America. So I don't have a dog in the fight. I am standing from a distance and just giving my personal opinions. That's the first thing. The second thing is I do not want whatever, but if you hear certain things or what I'm going to say that doesn't jive with your personal politics, it's not a personal affront to anyone in the chat room. We just talking politics. I will never fall out with my brothers for no white man political party. So let me get that clear and very, very clear and straight. Okay, I will not follow with any of my brothers or for some white men who creating political parties in America. In fact, Brother Bakari, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. When I let my lady listen to that discussion yesterday, she believes she agreed with you more than she agreed with me. In fact, I getting ready to ship her off to Atlanta, Georgia right now because she could agree with you way more times than she ever agreed with what I had to say. So let me just put that out there. That's first and foremost. But I could call it as I am seeing it. Okay? So let's talk about the first thing that I hear. Because I'm hearing this discussion about Trump loyalists, Trump loyalists, Trump loyalists. Right now, the economies in the Western Hemisphere and in the world right now is growing in the fact that they have almost like a dictatorial regime at its head, like Putin in Russia, like China, with that, they have a group of people in the Communist Party in China, but all road leads to them, and as far as the legislative, executive, all them branches of government. That is, these economies are growing because it's almost like a monolithic kind of system. All road leads to either one man or a group of men. Singapore the same way, okay? The type of democracy that we currently practicing, where everyone can throw their hand in terms of the direction of where the country needs to go, that is not going to be it's been competitive, but it's not going to be competitive in the world going forward. You must have loyalists. You must have loyalists that subscribe to what you're trying to do and the direction of where you're trying to go. Why? Because if you live in a situation where everyone have a say so, if the leader decides to cut off the light and you decide to cut on the light, it's like, where do you go? You basically chasing your tail. So it needs to be a system where if you want to remain competitive in the world, that structure of government that we currently practicing, that's not feasible. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. The next thing, when the brothers say that Trump is a racist, fine. Trump is a racist. Say Trump never denounced the KKK. I would ask, just go on YouTube and type in Trump denounces the KKK and see if you don't see himself denouncing the KKK. So you don't want to be inconsistent when you say that these group of people are lying or these group of people are telling the truth. Let's give all the information out there and see where we come. Now, Trump has done some things that is very much, to me personally, I believe to be racist. But to say that he hasn't denounced the KKK, when I actually saw that on YouTube yesterday, it's just saying a true story. You know what I mean? Another thing too is with this Kamala thing. For me, Kamala is problematic. Yes, Donald Trump is problematic when he talks to black people, talking about my black Americans. Yes, he's problematic when he's referring to selling tennis shoes and him being a felon, that the blacks gonna love him more. That is very problematic and it is extremely racist, absolutely. But when Kamala Harris says, "Hey, we smoking dope in school, in college, listening to Snoop Doggy Dogg," who is she trying to appeal to? Who is she trying to appeal to with that? Because she would not go to the Jewish community with the same kind of rhetoric and trying to ingratiate herself to that community. Nor would she do that same thing to the Indian American community. Why does she feel that she could go to the black community and talk about how she is in college and assign herself to smoking weed and say, "Well, I'm from Jamaica"? First of all, she casting aspersions not only on black people and saying she smoked dope, but a whole country of black people called Jamaica. She wouldn't do that but the Hindus. Why is she doing that about the Jamaicans? I have a problem with that. When you say that, yes, we're going to do all these things for black women because black women need this and need that, bro. Black men in America are a default too, bro. They are in a serious crisis as well in terms of unemployment, in terms of all kind of different issues. All kind of different issues. So you telling me about prison reform, I need to know some more than rather than just prison reform. Because the black men are asking, what are you going to do for me? You're going to do all these things for women? That's great. Black girl magic. You need to tell me specifically outside of the prison reform, because I ain't never been to prison. What are you going to do for me? And the majority of black men ain't been to prison. You know, you talk the what we heard yesterday, Brother Bakari, is the women addressing the issue of immigration. You say the Democrats have sent more immigrants out of the country, you know, as they have with the Republicans. But the reality is, it seems like the Democratic Party have embraced illegal immigration, and particularly in places like New York City, where you see a flood of illegal immigration and them getting more privileges than the Black Americans themselves. That is a very problematic issue. And if you're standing on that thing, you have to ask yourself, it seems like the Black Americans rolling in their hands and saying, well, if you can do all these things for these illegal immigrants on the streets of New York City right now and other places, what you doing for us? Because you ain't seem like you've been doing nothing. Another thing too is Kamala Harris, like Donald Trump, I think she was elected undemocratically. They didn't know. The Democratic ticket didn't put her against other people who wanted to stand in her place and say, and then have them choose to have her as their leader. She just was decided upon. That's not how democracy works. That's not how democracy works. I'll get back to the Project 2022 situation. Another thing too is this whole issue of, I believe, for me, you say that Donald Trump is a racist. I believe that Donald Trump is a racist, but Kamala Harris, she seems to hate black men. She seems to hate black men. She seems to follow the philosophy that black men ain't shit issue. So why do I say that? Because she never talks about her father, not once. She doesn't address him once, you know, and she married to you know who. She married to you know who. You know, so she seemed to practice black men ain't shit politics in front of my face. You know, to me, there's an issue there that's not being discussed and dialogued about. Yes, Donald Trump may be a devil, but seemed to me like Kamala Harris practicing black men ain't shit politics in front of my face, and I don't care for it. I don't care for it. You know, you could take care of the, when you see pictures of her, you see all these Indian people and white folks. You see her with her husband, who she take care of the white man, the white kids. But I'm asking myself, what happened to the black men? There was a picture on what we talked about on Juneteenth with Kamala Harris with her white husband and the black man in a dress and long hair. What are they trying to do to black man in America? Needless to say, we'll talk about that later. The last thing I want to address is Project 2025. Anyone, or because I think I'm talking to mostly Americans in this chat room. If all the brothers and sisters, I'm sure, would have read or reviewed the American Constitution, much of the things within that Project 2025 were some of the things I even agree with, because I don't want no transgender teachers teaching in our classroom. They should be fired. But what I'm saying is that much of that stuff is unconstitutional. You know what I mean? So even if they try to push this, you know, as far as implementing this, this gonna tie up the judicial system forever, because much of this stuff is unconstitutional. It's this discriminatory on its face, bro. You know what I mean? So it's problematic to me the fact that all the black Americans are in this chat room. You all know the Constitution. You all know that much of this stuff is discriminatory. How is the president of the United States going to get away with that? He can't, because he can't. You can't, unless you're planning on getting rid of the Constitution, and unless the Project 25 is talking about getting rid of the Constitution itself. These kinds of things, if they try to be implemented, they'll be hauled off into the courts in a day. So I just really wanted to put that out there as far as where I stand. Like I say, I am an outsider looking at the scenario and situation, and me and Brother Akari spoke yesterday. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on this particular discussion. Like I say, I'm standing from a different perspective, but I'll leave it there, Koku.
Koku, please let me respond, Koku, because
yeah. So So we heard from everyone. So now I'm going to give a chance for everyone to give their backup thoughts on whatever. You don't have to wait to be called on. Just interject with your thoughts, but do it orderly so that we don't have a one mic situation. So whoever wants to start off can go now.
So,
Kofi, let me go, then you go, Kofi.
all
You
right,
go after me, Kofi,
got
please. Okay. First thing, once again, it was a black man upset because somebody mentioned black women and men didn't mention him. I'm smart enough to know if somebody helping my woman, they helping me. You never heard, and watch this, and I hate to even do this, but you never heard white men go around and complain, oh, they giving white women affirmative action. No, because white men were smart enough to understand that they can take advantage of that. So if they helping my woman, they're helping me. What I said was he denounced, he refused to denounce the Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke. And there's no video of him denouncing the Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke, but there is video of him bragging on saying those neo-Nazis in Charlottesville, Virginia was good people. And it sounds like most black people on here they're talking, they say the popular thing, they haven't truly studied it. So when you say haven't studied none of Project 2025, they say something that sounds good. So when you say they want to change the Constitution, yes, that's what they want to do. That's why Donald Trump wanted his people in place in the Supreme Court. So now what they want to do, anything that the president do, as long as it's labeled official, it can't be overturned. So it's deeper, it's deeper than you just talking and haven't looking into it. And that's the thing about it. When I say this, and when Kofi talk about this, the thing about it, me and Kofi will talk about this, and we're talking about stuff that we've read and we've looked up. Most people on here talking, I'm not saying all, but most people talking, they're on here just talking, touching on points, or touching on something that sounds good. So once again, uh Bawana is not allowed ever. He's allowed to come on my panel. I'm gonna make sure I say that first, but he cannot mention anything that has ever that a KKK has ever done to no black people on my panel, because he's the type of person that's okay. He's the type of person that's okay with a guy who refused to denounce David Duke, the Grand Wizard of the KKK. He's okay with Donald Trump bragging on there's good people on both sides talking about those neo-Nazis in Charlottesville, Virginia. So we want to have it both ways. We want to be able to talk about every time we build something, they just beat us up so bad. But now in 2024, well, I don't want a gay woman. I don't want a man teaching, whatever he said about the teaching. But what you don't understand, if you read Project 2025, the goal is to get rid of the Department of Education. So there won't be no gay person teaching our kids. There won't be nobody teaching the kids. That's the thing. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. And that's why I say we haven't studied this stuff. We just want to talk about it. But study and see what they are trying to do. And once again, it's not fear tactics from the Democrats. This is fear tactics from those people who don't want you to vote so they can implement everything they want to do so they can have their loyalists in place. So when you try to protest, what did he say when he was president? His general say when during the Black Lives Matter protest, can't we just have our military shoot them? But for some strange reason in 2024, seem like we are going backwards mentally because we're okay with someone who want to shoot black people protesting for something that has happened to them. I yield the mic.
Yeah, that's
Man,
very.
come on, man. Good God. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
Good
mean,
God, what? Won't you look it up and read it for yourself?
No. It's just Bakar, you're such a master at being a straw man argument. You argue against stuff people never said. No, who said anything about supporting the KK? We support somebody who supports the KKK.
Yes,
That's
when you so
ridiculous.
I wasn't talking to you. See,
But I'm
cause
talking to
see,
you though.
I
But I'm
got you.
talking
But
to
one,
you though.
see,
But I'm
Bowana was
talking to
talking.
you.
See, Bowana was talking to me. So
But I'm
when I
talking to
said,
you though.
okay, so I'm gonna say what I said. And if the shoe
You
fits,
sound
you can lace it.
ridiculous.
So if the shoe fits, you can lace it up. If you refuse to say something about, refuse to denounce somebody who's supporting the Grand Wizard of the KKK, yeah, you meant something is mentally wrong with you.
But hold on, who's doing? But we're not. But there's
So
nobody.
I just said I was talking to Bwana. So when you said something was
There's
wrong,
nobody on
you
here
don't.
supporting Trump.
Bwana just did, and he was
Bwana,
talking.
you support
See,
Trump.
you didn't
Bwana,
listen.
Bwana, do you support Trump?
So why are you running your mouth?
Bwana.
And this is a conversation we had last night.
Hold on, first of all, this is an open forum. Anybody can talk to anybody. Who you think you are? You chill out.
What are you talking about? Who I think I know who I am? Shit, you just
I can talk who I want to.
Oh,
What's wrong with
no,
you?
you just jumped in. You jumped
I
in
can
with an
jump in.
attitude.
All right, bros.
With an attitude for no
Y'all
reason.
getting hyped.
With an attitude for no reason. For what? What you got an attitude for no reason?
Y'all getting hyped. Well, let me say this though. I want to say this just quickly.
Hold on. I don't want to cut, but I'll let him go because he had to get that off his chest for Brother Bakari. You could go after me. So I mean, wow. So let me calm it down by saying, let you know I'm not biased. I do. No, I don't really disagree with what Brother Bakari is saying when he says, as far as like, hey, look, if you help my woman, you help me. But I do understand what Bwana is saying is like you're checking off all the boxes. Ooh, do women like me? Yes, I'm gonna be for women. Check. Do white women like me? Yes. Check. Do Indians like me? Ooh, yeah, check. What about us? You know what I'm saying? You talk about your father is black, right? You're Jamaican, right? What are you saying about Jamaican men, black men in general? Nothing. You're right. I feel left out. I feel a little bit left out. You know, especially in this day and age, and when you look at media, we look at movies, commercials, or anything like that, it's like a black man is like a fucking unicorn right now. Only time you see a black man if he's doing something negative. Only you see a time you see a black man if he's doing something criminal or if he's gay or something like that. You know, so Wanda does have a point. But I understand what Bakari's saying. Say a helping hand is a helping hand, no matter what it is, clean or dirty. But if we're talking about your representation of people, right? And you're the fruit of a black man and an Indian woman, and you giving all these escalades and say, this is what my mother did. I got my mother's laugh. So they make fun of my laugh. I have my mother's laugh. Ha ha ha. They can make fun of my laugh all I want. And you have a white husband. It's like, okay, where's the black man in that? And when she was doing all the things like Brother McCoy said, I listened to Snoop Dogg when I was in college. Like, look, I like Kamala Harris as I think she's a good politician, but as a black person, she's cringe. I'm sorry, she's cringe. Why are you saying when she was running for president, she was saying that yeah, I was listening, I smoking weed, and I was listening to Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was not out when you were around, right? So those are the cringe-worthy things. But the list of things that I just want to address what Brian was saying. He was saying it's good to have loyalists. So basically, I don't know if you're kind of double talking because you cannot have loyalists and say this is a democracy. If you want loyalists, what you want is a monarchy or you want communism. And those things are not going to work when you say, yes, you need loyalists. No, you need people that are loyal to you under the guise of the Constitution, which Donald Trump said he wants to get rid of, under the guise of the Constitution, right? And Trump wanted to be a dictator. So those two things can exist in the same in the same space, right? The whole thing about Trump being well, you saw like what he said. Trump said he doesn't know anything about a David Duke. Right? He said he don't know anything about David Duke, which I felt that was a lie. But let's give you that, right? Trump said, remember, I don't know, before you those, you remember when he was talking, he said, Pride Boys stand back, right? That's what led to January 6th. Pride Boy is a racist organization. And he's giving a shout out to the Pride Boys to commit political violence, right? Nick Fuentes and Kanye West came to his house. Nick Fuentes, a white Hispanic man that's an open racist, went to his house. We should not be questioning, well, is Trump racist? Well, kind of, sort of. Well, in that instance, not so much. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, he's a racist. That's it. Full stop. Right? So I don't understand what we're doing. So, yeah, I already spoke about her father disowned her. But he's just talking about the whole Jamaican thing. I think Black Steel put that in the in the chat. And the last thing I wanted to say is like what Buono, you were saying, well, yeah, there is a migrant issue in New York. I'm in New York, right? But And I don't agree with Eric Adams giving them, I think he was giving them driver's license or some shit like that. I'm like, how the fuck you giving them driver's license, right? But you gotta understand the Republicans aren't innocent of it. Greg Abbott in Texas, right? He didn't he was such a sore, how should I put it? He put a whole bunch of Mexicans and migrants on the bus and he sent them to New York and to, I think, Martha's Vineyard or somewhere up north and say it's your problem. They're now suing him for human trafficking. So the influx of immigration that's happening in New York is also contributed to the Republicans. So everything else you said, Juan, I agree with. You know what I'm saying? No one's not really, hey guys, come on, we're all on the same page here. You know what I'm saying? We're just different ways of us just seeing the issue. But I'll yield the mic. Everything else, Juan, I agree with you. I just wanted to address those points.
Real quick,
And by the way, it was the Republicans. It was the Republicans that just knocked down the migrant bill. So when people talk about immigration, once again, when I say they haven't studied and read stuff, they say the popular talking points. That's what they do. Look up the bill and look and see who just stopped the migrant bill, the immigration bill from passing. It was the Republicans, the conservative, and that's all. And instead of just looking it up, we say the popular stuff.
Real quick, before Oni goes, real quick. I was sent this to play, so let me play this really quick.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. We are a nation founded on the truth that all of us are created equal. We are equal in the eyes of our Creator. We are equal under the law, and we are equal under our Constitution. Those who spread violence in the name of bigotry strike at the very core of America. 2 days ago, a young American woman, Heather Heyer, was tragically killed. Her death fills us with grief, and we send her family our thoughts, our prayers, and our love.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
So that was, I was asked to play that. I know Oni wanted to go, and I think Buano was after him. Oni, go ahead.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was, you know, when I mentioned the fear tactics, and I think one of the things that we overlook in America, like some people say America's a one-party system. It just happens to have, but in typical American extravagance, it has two of them, you know? But like, the reality is this: the Republicans and the Democrats work together. Like literally, they go to work and they are co-workers, right? So when I say that the Democrats are just doing their scare tactic, it's really the Republicans and the Democrats working together to do the scare tactic. In a sense, I don't fully understand it, obviously. But what I'm saying, when I say that, what I mean is, the Republicans always come out as overt racist, or the Democrats always accuse the Republicans of being racist. The video of Trump just now seems like a deep fake, honestly. But if it's not a deep fake, it's kind of atypical for a Republican to come out and say, "Oh, I'm not racist. I'm not a," blah, blah, blah. Well, not too atypical, but realistically, if we go back in time, we called, Romney a racist. We called John McCain a racist. We said this guy was that. We said this guy was this. And we took in every of the we took in the Democrats, blah 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 blah. Now again, me personally, obviously, I'm a registered Democrat. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I know Forecast doesn't believe that New York is going to go Democrat, but New York always goes Democrat. New York is so deeply Democrat, it's not even funny. It's very, and not just that. New York doesn't like Trump. Like generally speaking, nobody likes Trump here. That said, though, so the elections usually come down to what they call swing states. And it usually comes down to like 2,000 to 10,000 votes in these swing states, right? It's not, we're pretty much not. A lot of us who are not in those swing states are really not even participating in this freaking election. It really comes down to the certain enclaves, the certain states with significant electoral votes, and it has nothing to do with us, pretty much. But why I'm saying this and say is that every election, the Democrats come along, and again, I'm a registered Democrat, right? But what I'm telling you is that, and everybody notices, uh, the Democrats come along every election to tell us to vote against these Republicans because they're so on and so forth. And it's always, oh, this is the election that matters. It's the election that counts. It's the last election. It's the last election. And it's always been that way. Now, it could be the case of what's it called? The boy who cries wolf. And maybe this is the exact situation of a wolf. But again, like they said this before, like they said this when it was Hillary versus Trump, right? That like the same thing that they said now, they're saying, they said the same thing they said then, they're saying now. Me personally, Hillary versus Trump, and again New York went for Hillary, right? um uh Obviously Kamala is way better than Hillary, right? And like I said, if I'm in America in November, I would obviously vote for Hillary, for Kamala. But and I don't even think that Kamala's things are cringe. That stuff about her, blah 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 blah. And I don't think that the black man needs to be mentioned every 5 seconds. But my point is that, yeah, I do think that the Democrats and the Republicans, I think we have to acknowledge, look, let's be serious. The Democrats and the Republicans are co-workers. And if Project 2025 passes or whatever, the Democrats will have to concede to it. That's it.
Any other last thoughts on this prompt here before we go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 tonight?
Oh yeah. I didn't absolutely, and I'll be very quick. Again, I understand that this is very emotive, but I am taking myself out of the emotion of it, and I am just looking at it from a person from a distance. And I don't mean no offense to anyone who can be offended by my statements, but I'll just address some of the things that I hear. So, Brother Bakari made the statement that to help black women is to help me. Okay? Now I understand what he means by that, I really do. Because in his mind, the old politics was where the black man and the black woman are united. They are in a community together with one another. So whatever affects one should affect another. But the reality is that is an old politic. Or let me just say, there's a new politic that exists, that there are some women who have disassociated themselves from black men and the black men and their function and form within the so-called community. They call themselves the divestment movement. You have the Oprahs of the world. You have the Kamala Harrises of the world. They don't want to have, they call us, you have the Cynthia G's of the world. They call us bullet bags. They say they want to disassociate themselves from us and just ascend to a higher state of being, this magical world where they live different from their counterparts because they don't even consider us their counterparts anymore. So in looking at that and that behavior, because they doing that thing over there, whatever and thing, well, we got to address our issues, our women's issues. You have to look at that with a very objective eye and say, okay, so since what happens to you, you have disassociated from me and doesn't affect me, then I have to go and address what matters to me, black men's issues in specificity. What are you going to do to address black men's issues? And you can't say talking about abortion rights, talking about what happens to women in healthcare is addressing me on the ground. So I need to have my voice and I need to have that issue addressed, specifically dealing with me. That's the first thing. That's a new politic in the world. That's a new politic, and you can't ignore them because if you listen to this internet, they are a very loud constituency of people. So you have to respond. In response to that, you say, okay, if you want to disassociate, if you want to have nothing to do with us, if you're calling us a bunch of bullet bags, and we shouldn't even exist, because if you know that you're about to have give birth to a male child, abort that child. There are women who think like that. There are jaded black women who think like that. I say, okay, so now I have to address what is essential to me and my issues living in the United States of America if I decide to. That's first and foremost. The second thing is we see the video of Trump denouncing the KKK. So that shouldn't even pass. We shouldn't even discuss that anymore. As far as Trump being a racist, I want my brothers. I want my brothers on this panel to name me one president of the United States who wasn't racist. Please, I need to know that. I need to know that. Because you had 44. You had 44 now. I think 44. So I need to know which one wasn't racist. Because when we giving out the racist cards, I could give out even Barack Obama, bro. So I could give out 44 racist cards to all of them. So I need to know which one wasn't the racist one. That's what I'm asking. But like I said, I'll leave it there. I am not trying to be offensive to my Black American brothers. Understand? I just give my political opinion from a distance. So it's just an opinion. I don't want to frustrate or in anger or cause anyone to be pissed off by a foreigner's opinion. I'll leave it there.
All right, so I'll make this real quick.
Nobody pissed. Nobody pissed off.
So I'll make this really quickly. Make this real quick before I'm about to say. Many times, I think that only said something how they're co-workers, right? The Republicans and the Democrats. And there are many situations where the Democrats could have done something that most people wanted, and they chose not to. Like, for example, everyone's talking about abortion, whether you agree with it or not. Back when Obama was president, back in 2008, when he had the majority in the House and the Senate, they wanted him to codify the Supreme Court case into a federal law, right? And he said that was not a goal of his administration, right? Only for the Supreme Court to turn around and reverse that decision, 10 years later, or 10, 12 years later. So there are situations where the Democrats have had the ability to do things that the majority of Americans want, but they don't. And then the Republicans then come and reverse it. Then the Democrats will say, well, if you elect us, we'll get that fixed. Like Biden before he quit, he said, if you elect me, I'll make sure Roe versus Wade gets reinstated. But you guys could have done that years ago, and you made a decision not to. And then when they don't live up to their promises, then they want to claim that, oh, we're being obstructed by what the other party is doing. But in reality, neither one of them really support any progressive reforms for the American people. I remember how when Bernie Sanders was running for president, I got my issues with Bernie Sanders, but the entire Democratic establishment came down to crush Bernie Sanders' campaign. All of them did. They fought harder against Bernie Sanders than they fought against Trump. And that is a fact. So what we're seeing is that many times when there are opportunities for the Democrats to make a move, they don't. And then the Republicans get into power and they do. Then we have to say, well, if you want these policies to be stopped, vote for us. When in reality, you could have stopped them years ago if you wanted to. So I'm just speaking to Oni's point about why these two, they're co-workers, they work together. They both support the same corporatist, capitalist policies. Corporations run Washington. And one really quickly, one brother asked, why would Black people, we should support the FBI being taken away. And what I want to say is that many of the gains that Black people have fought and won throughout our history, right, have been a result of federal intervention coming, federal laws, the Supreme Court coming down. So That's why they're really trying to attack these various institutions. We already see the Supreme Court has been completely corrupted. You know, it's 6-3 conservative justices. They're gonna get rid of everything that that help move black people incrementally in this society. So that's why they're coming at the executive, because of the whatever meager support that the federal government has been to help black people, buy a home, have some protections under the law. They want to get rid of all of that. So I'll stop. I'll leave it there. I ain't
Hey,
nothing to say.
brother, hey, can I ask you? Can I ask you a
Of
question? Cause I asked that
course.
question.
Yeah, you
This,
did.
this,
I'm sorry.
yo, I just wanted to say, cause I'm not saying like why they're doing it. I'm saying like why the hell do black people care? Because like, oh, dude, like if we know like the beginning of the FBI, what the FBI is there for, like, why are we so? That's what I was saying. Why are black people care so much about the FBI?
Maybe not so much the FBI, but I think definitely Department of Education and the Department of Justice, which are also under the executive. So maybe not. We don't care about the FBI because, yeah, they don't really, they don't really give a damn. They help support the police and everything else like that. But I think more so the Department of Education, Department of Justice, and then there's a lot of black people who are employed within the executive branch. I think even though we make up such a small percent of the population, we're overrepresented in federal jobs. And I think that's one reason why we're concerned, because if they eliminate that, a lot of black people are going to be out of work. So, not so much maybe the FBI, but the other departments is why they're concerned about Project 2025 eliminating that.
This is what I want to say. When they say what haven't she said about black men, I'm gonna be honest, man. It does tickle me at times. Like, damn, man, we this soft. So I asked Bawana, what has Donald Trump said he gonna do for a black man or a black woman? I don't get. I just don't get it. Me personally, and I can tell you this. I mean, my my political party is black. I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. I'll vote either way that I think will help, what I think will help black folks. So maybe I'm just gonna get like everybody else. I'm just gonna fucking do what's gonna help me and say the hell with everybody else, because it seems like that's the way that black folk is going now. But what does Donald Trump say he gonna do for a black man or a black woman? He won't. They won't be able to answer. They won't be able to answer that question, because if anybody asks him, he has never answered a question. Only thing he do is get rude and disrespectful if you ask him a hard question. And I just don't. It tickles me to see all these black men. Donald Trump got a BBL because his ass had to get bigger with all these black men ass starting to be in, all these black men mouth just on it. They fighting for room. I don't get it. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but to me it's just crazy. I don't understand it. In everything that this man has said or done and do, it can completely be ignored because Kamala Harris mentioned black women and didn't mention a black man. To me, that's just crazy. I don't get it, but it also show where we are. A lot of black people is okay. It don't make a difference who in charge of them, as long as the person in charge is white. As long as that person in charge is white. So my thing, so you can think people can take Project 2025 as a joke if they want. They like to talk about history, but they seem to forget history when these people uh go to talking. So like I said, they said if Trump lose, be ready. And I believe Trump gonna lose, and I'm ready. So the ones who don't want to participate, you don't have to. It's okay if you vote Republican. That's okay too. I'm not mad at nobody either way they vote. But if Trump lose, be ready. So hopefully everybody is ready, because I'm damn so hoping he lose. Because our people, our ancestors went through enough of voter intimidation throughout this country, with people pulling up to polls with guns, sending the police, doing everything in their power, making black folks scared to vote. I wouldn't go even vote to them motherfuckers, pardon my French, till they start sending out messages talking about if Trump lose, what they are gonna do. Cause I do know if this country got a cold, black folk got pneumonia. So if they fight in this country, don't think your black ass is off that list. So I'm just saying, be prepared and be ready for whatever.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah. Just make it brief for me, please. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, never mind. I won't say nothing. I'm good.
No. Go ahead, but just make it brief. Just make it.
No, I'm good. I'm not gonna say nothing now.
I'll take your spot and I'll make it real brief. Someone said that all presidents are racist. What I was saying, but to put the caliber of Trump as your everyday average racist is ridiculous. So George Bush is racist, right? But George Bush and Trump is the same caliber of racist. Is Obama and Trump the same caliber of racism? No. So that broad generalization to me is a little bit intellectually lazy. But that's it.
All right, I appreciate that. Good discussion. We spent a good amount of time on it. I hope everyone who listens to the playback gives this some commentary. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 2 for time's sake.